There needs to be a Family Guy and American Dad crossover. I know everyone else don't understand why Seth MacFarlane has not done a crossover with both of his shows. Now, there have been crossover cameos with both shows. Roger making a brief appearance in the Meet the Quagmires Family Guy episode where he asked the Griffins who ate all the pecan sandies at the end of the episode. There's also the Lois Kills Stewie episode. It was so funny when Stewie mistaken Stan as Joe. Stan has a similar body like Joe, and then his chin is similar to Quagmire's. It's like Quagmire and Joe had a baby, and voila, it's Stan Smith. Man, I was in stitches when Stewie mistaken Stan as Joe. I'd drop the gun if I were you, Joe. And then when Stan told Stewie that he's not Joe, I like how Stewie responded by saying, "Oh, sorry, you look sort of like someone from..." Anyways, I dropped the gun if I were you. I was like Stewie saying, "Oh, you know what? Forget what I just said. Forget what I just said. You just sort of look like someone I know." Then there's the big fat episode at the beginning where the Smiths are the Griffins' new neighbors, and that's when Peter mistaken Roger as a dog. What kind of dog is that? And then Roger was asking the same thing when he pointed at Meg. And I'm like, Roger, you did Meg wrong. That's so wrong. And then that's when Stan told, Peter and the rest of the family that Roger's an alien and they can't tell anyone because it's a secret, and also not to tell anyone about their attic. So then Peter gets a call from Quagmire, and then Peter's retarded ass, no surprise, told Quagmire about Roger being an alien. So because of that, Stan had no choice but to kill Peter as he shot him, and Peter collapsed and he was instantly killed. And then the rest of the Griffins and the Smith family, they screaming, freaking out because they couldn't believe what the heck Stan just did. It's like, Peter, how could you be so retarded and forget that Stan told you you can't tell anyone about Roger being an alien, but then your ass had the nerve to tell Quagmire that Roger's an alien? What the heck? And then of course Peter found out it's a dream. Then here comes Hank Hill, and then Hank has a dream as he was waiting to see if the Griffins can understand what Stewie is saying. Then there was the Family Guy The Movement episode where Peter kneeled for the national anthem, but that was due to him having bad diarrhea. And that was the same episode where he traded Meg to American Dad. And towards the end, it was great when Meg sung the theme song for American Dad. Like, I remember Joe singing the theme song for American Dad, and that was great. He was awesome. He was as good as Stan. I mean, he nailed that American Dad theme song. But Meg's version was funny. She had me in stitches saying that theme song. Especially when she was like, "Adaba Daba stands the dad and the alien's gay." And there is a fish and a boy and a girl. Then all of a sudden Stan tells her to shut up. Come to find out, Meg realized that it was just going to be in Family Guy where the characters in American Dad were going to treat her like crap as well. And then Roger was like, yeah, as he chimed in. And poor Meg looked down when it was all sad and whatnot. It's like, Stan, Roger, don't do it. It's bad enough she's been abused on Family Guy by everybody. We don't need you two to be doing it, especially you, Roger. Just like that time when Peter mistaken you as a dog. And then you had a nerve to tell Peter that you was going to ask the same thing about Meg. You straight up mistaken Meg as a dog. Like, dude, really? I'm actually surprised there hasn't been an actual full episode with Family Guy and American Dad together. Seth MacFarlane, if Matt Groening can do a crossover with his shows in The Simpsons and Futurama, then how come you can't do the same with your two hit shows, Family Guy and American Dad? Okay? I mean, Matt Groening did a crossover both The Simpsons and Simpsorama. And remember, Futurama ended once again for the second time in 2013. So by the time they did the Simpsorama crossover, Futurama had already ended. But they still did the crossover anyways. And see, that's my thing. Even if a show has been canceled or ended, that doesn't mean they can't cross over with other shows. And the Simpsons and Futurama crossover was a perfect example and proved that. That's why I remember one time saying that I thought that the Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana crossover episode, I thought that Raven should have been brought back for that crossover, because they had that first crossover, That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana, that featured Raven, the characters from Zack and Cody, and Hannah Montana. So I was just saying that they could have brought back Raven for the Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana crossover, where she reunites with Zack and Cody and Miley. And I remember one woman, I think Lisa Plan, she was telling me, how is that going to work when Raven ended? Yes, and that's true. That's where Raven ended in 2007. And the Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana crossover came out in 2009. So I get that. But I'm just saying, just because a show has been canceled or ended doesn't mean they can't be a part of a crossover with other shows. I don't care. They could have brought back Raven despite her show already been ended. Think about it. It could have been called That's So Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana. Is that not a great crossover title for a crossover episode? And then think about it. You have 4 shows coming together for a crossover. We would have saw 4 crossover episodes. One episode of That's So Raven, one episode of Wizards of Waverly Place, The Sweet Life on Deck, and then Hannah Montana. It would be even better. There needs to be a Family Guy American Dad crossover ASAP. And I know that American Dad is now on TBS, is no longer on Fox, but hey, American Dad is still seen as a Fox show since it was originally on Fox. Okay? When Simpsonrama came out, it was a Simpsons episode and it premiered on Fox. And Futurama originally was on Fox. And there's still a Fox show despite Fox doing them wrong and letting them go. And back in 2003. So why not have a Family Guy crossover episode and you have American Dad? Simple as that. I also did a fanfiction crossover of Family Guy and American Dad. And it's uploaded on fanfiction. It's titled Meet the Smiths. You can check the link in the description box to check it out for yourself. And hopefully you like it. But anyways, I think a Family Guy American Dad crossover would be so funny, man. Peter and Stan interacting, and Lois and Francine, and then Meg and Steve. I think Meg and Steve would have been a great crossover couple. I mean, they both have brunette hair. They both wear glasses. They're both unpopular and they get picked on by bullies. They have 3 friends. Steve has 3 friends in Snot, Toshi, and Barry. And then Meg has her friends, Patty, Ruth, and Esther. Now, the thing is, Meg is 18 on Family Guy? Even though she's still in high school, she's pretty much a senior in high school, while Steve is 14 or 15 years old? Meg is older than Steve, but she could wait for him. You know? I mean, I still think they'll make a great crossover pairing. And check out these pictures that somebody has done on DeviantArt of Meg and Steve together as a pairing. Shout out to those people for doing these drawings of Meg and Steve together. I especially like the one when they have an ice cream. And I think Stewie and Roger together would be hilarious. I really do hope that Seth MacFarlane would do a Family Guy American Dad crossover. I really do. So, we shall see. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think? I think it's time. Alright, that's it. See you later.